A lot of people don't even think to make this one really simple adjustment on their leg presses, but it can definitely reduce the effectiveness of the exercise, put more stress on your lower back, and make it harder to accurately track your progress over time. What's up guys, Sean Alawani, RealScienceAthletics.com, and in this video today, we're gonna be going through and making sure that you are performing your leg presses correctly to maximize lower body development and minimize injury risk as well. I've got 8 different mistakes to go over here that people commonly make and that you might be making in your own training as well. So definitely give this a watch through to make sure that you're ticking each one of these boxes. All right, to start off, let's get the 2 dumbest mistakes out of the way, for lack of a better word. And these are things that I see in the gym all the time. They're not uncommon at all, but they're definitely things that you need to avoid. So the first is leg pressing with your hands on your knees. Okay, if you have to push on your knees in order to move the weight, then either you're just lifting too heavy to begin with, or the amount of weight that you're lifting is fine, and you're just unnecessarily making the exercise less effective. You would never do a biceps curl and use your other arm to assist on every rep, so there's no reason at all to do your leg presses that way either. All you're really doing is reducing the tension on your quads. You're also making it harder to track your strength progress because you can't calculate exactly how much extra force is coming from the assistance from your hands versus how much is coming from your legs. And not only that, but when it comes to proper leg pressing form, you want to be holding onto the handles throughout the set to keep your lower back and your glutes firmly in the seat, because if they roll backward, then that's going to put more stress on your lower back. The second particularly goofy leg press mistake is performing your set while your training partner assists you by pushing on the sled. So same concept as before. All that really means is that the weight that you're using is too heavy in the first place, or it's not too heavy, but your spotter is just making the lift easier for no real reason and preventing you from truly training close to muscular failure. For any exercise that you perform, not just the leg press, you want to select a weight that you can lift on your own in proper form using a full range of motion without any spotter assistance, and training that exercise within about 0 to 3 reps of muscular failure, depending on your specific training approach or what phase of a program you're in. But there's no reason whatsoever for your training partner to be touching the leg pressing sled at any point during the set, unless we're talking about more advanced trainees who are using high intensity techniques like forced reps, which would be a kind of sketchy thing to do on the leg press, but technically it could be done. Either that or a situation where for some reason you didn't put the safety catches in place and you went too heavy and you accidentally hit failure, and your spotter is jumping in to prevent the weight from crashing down on your sack. Mistake number 3, kind of a controversial one. I included this in an Instagram post a while back and a few people were asking about it. By the way, if you're not following me on Instagram yet, make sure to go ahead and do that, because I do post a lot of additional tips and advice there. But this particular mistake was fully locking out the knees on each rep. Now, yes, you might be totally fine doing this, okay? It's debatable in terms of just how much stress it really puts on the knee joint, but it's really just a matter of risk versus reward, okay? There's no added benefit to locking out your knees 100%, because once the legs are straight, there's pretty much no stress on the quads at all. The leg press maximally stresses the quads in the bottom position, and then the resistance gradually drops off as you press further and further. So even if the risk for adverse effects on the knee is small, I would say that the logical move is to still stop just short of lockout, because why go 1 extra inch and direct hundreds of pounds onto your knees for no reason? It's not benefiting you in any way, but it might be harmful even if the chance is minor. And as an added tip, if you're someone with lower back or other joint issues and you want to maximize the stress on your quads while using as little weight as possible on the leg press to lessen some of that load on your joints, then what you can do is stop several inches short of lockout to really keep the stress on your quads throughout the entire set using a more constant tension style. That way you can get your quads close to failure while using less weight, since the quads won't have any real point of rest during the set. All right, leg press mistake number 4. Let's talk about foot placement on the pad. One common error that people make is positioning the feet too high. So assuming that your primary goal here is to target your quads, a very high foot placement isn't going to be ideal, because it's going to reduce the range of motion on the quads, right? The quads lengthen as the knee flexes and they shorten as the knee extends. And you can see here by looking at the angle of the knee joint, the amount of knee flexion and knee extension is going to be limited when the feet are placed too high, and you'll end up shifting more emphasis onto the glutes instead. Now, this will still build your quads to a certain extent, but for maximum stimulation, a lower foot position is going to give you a larger range of motion on the quads overall. well. Now, where exactly you position your feet, that's going to depend on you and your individual body structure and your mobility and things like that. So play around with it a bit to find the foot position that maximizes the range of motion on your quads, but still feels comfortable on your back and knees. And of course, if your goal is to emphasize the glutes, then using a higher foot position is obviously fine. Mistake number 5 also relates to range of motion, just in terms of how far you actually lower the weight down. Now, I'm sure we've all seen people in the gym who load up a ton of plates on the leg press and then just pump out a bunch of depressing little half reps or quarter reps. Maybe you're guilty of this yourself, but this is not the optimal way to live your life. No one cares how much you can leg press. There's no quarter rep leg press Olympics, and you're gonna be much better off by lightening the weight a bit and then using a fuller range of motion versus going super heavy and only using a tiny range. There's no one single set in stone range that everybody must use, again, because it depends on you in terms of your individual body structure and your mobility and whether you have certain joint issues that you're dealing with, maybe your lower back or your hips or your knees or whatever else. But the basic goal would be to lower the pad down as far as you comfortably can while making sure that your butt is staying firmly planted in the seat. And that last point is important. We can use that as mistake number 6. What you don't want to be doing is lowering the weight so far down that your lower back and your glutes are rolling backward, because that's going to increase the stress on your lower back. So try to find an appropriate middle ground for yourself. So the largest range that you can comfortably use with the low back and the glutes staying firmly planted. By the way, if you're finding this video useful so far and you want to get some help getting your overall training approach onto the very best path based on your physique goals and where you're at right now, then once this video is over, make sure to head over to seannall.com/custom. Just fill out the short form there, and I'll send you back not only a free step-by-step workout plan adjusted to your individual needs, but also a nutrition plan as well. I'll link it up here in this card as well as down below in the description box. All right, mistake number 7 is another one that ties into range of motion, and that's where you position the seat. So if the leg press machine seat is positioned at a high angle, that's going to reduce the range of motion, as you can see here, and it's going to put more load on the lower back as well. Whereas if you position the seat at the lowest angle, then that's going to maximize the range of motion and minimize lower back stress. A lot of people don't even think to make this one really simple adjustment on their leg presses, but it can definitely reduce the effectiveness of the exercise, put more stress on your lower back, and make it harder to accurately track your progress over time. And lastly, leg press mistake number 8 is allowing your knees to cave in as you lower and press the weight. So this is another very common thing to see, and not only is it going to reduce your leg pressing strength, but it's also going to put more stress on your knee joints as well. This is typically the result of underlying weak links that are ultimately beyond the scope of this video, but as far as leg press form is concerned, if this is a problem for you, then make sure to consciously think about spreading your knees outward as you perform your reps, rather than allowing those knees to buckle inward. Let me know in the comments what exercise you want to see me go over next, or if there's anything else that you want me to cover. Don't forget to grab your free custom training and nutrition program over at seannall.com/custom. If you're looking for no BS, premium quality supplementation options to maximize your muscle building and fat burning results without all the usual hype and gimmicks that you find everywhere else, then make sure to visit realscienceathletics.com. This was all formulated by me using effective, research-backed, clinically dosed ingredients only, and you can use code YouTube15 to save 15% off your first order. Here's 2 more videos I'd recommend watching now. You can follow me over on Instagram for more helpful tips and information. Don't forget to subscribe and turn on notifications to stay up to date on future content, and I will talk to you again soon.